Before 1968, the whole country, at that time known as Czechoslovakia, which included the current Czech Republic and Slovakia, as a socialist satellite of the Soviet Union, had electrified wire fences along the borders with capitalist countries. There were 2 rows of these fences, and between them mines were planted underground. The borders were also patrolled by soldiers with dogs and machine guns to deter anyone from crossing into a capitalist country. As a child, while walking to school, I used to see these fences with soldiers every day, and I used to wonder how people lived on the other side of those fences. About 40 years later, when I visited Ceske Velenice, there were no fences anymore, and I could walk through the border control point into Austria without any problem. On one hand, this was a pleasant surprise, but on the other hand, I felt a profound sadness at seeing what Ceske Velenice has become. The streets were practically empty, and only a couple of restaurants open. Most shops were owned and operated by Vietnamese immigrants. Then my wife from Colombia and I went to the school where I used to go when I was a child. At the school, I asked for the principal, to whom I introduced myself, and I briefly told him that formerly I attended the school and I would like to revisit it and show it to my wife. He gave us a very brief tour, but when I tried to greet the students, the principal forbade me to communicate with the students or take any photos or make any videos. I told him that it would be interesting for the students if I spoke to them in English and Czech, and if I told them how important the English language is. I also told the principal that I was an international professor of languages, but he repeatedly denied my request by saying that it was against the school's policy, without substantiating his claim. His behavior reminded me of a staunch communist dictatorship, and my wife was totally overwhelmed. My wife and I traveling to Ceske Velenice by train. Now we're going to have a delicious dessert. This is the school which I attended when I was a child in Ceske Velenice. And this used to be my classroom. This is the route I used to take from school to my home. The distance from school to my home was about 3 kilometers, and I used to walk to school and home. Here we are entering a suburb of Ceske Velenice called Žižkovo předměstí, where I used to live. And this is the house where I used to live. And right across the street there is the garden where my parents used to cultivate vegetables. Here we are coming to the point that used to divide former Czechoslovakia from Austria and used to be heavily guarded. Today we can cross the border without any problem. However, in the past, only people with special government permissions or politicians could cross the border. Here you can see how the borders looked when they were patrolled by the military during socialism. Now we are walking through the streets of Gmünd in Austria, where we also found a good hotel to stay.